Hey guys, and today I'll be going over my Hexaorb Aquamarine deck profile post the Shiranui and Luard stride decks. So, with the stride decks now being released, your locals will most likely be filled with a lot of them. So the option is you can either play a stride deck or you can play a deck that counters a stride deck. So this build specifically, it's focused on rushing the opponent as fast as possible so that they don't hit their second stride. As in most scenarios, when the opponent does hit their second stride, it's usually game over. So let's actually get into the deck profile. So starting off, we have the Tritank Sorceress as the starter. We have the Tier Square Sorceress as the grade 1. We have the Pentagleam Sorceress as the grade 2. And then we have Aquamarine for the grade 3 for our ride line. Then for the grade 3s, we have the remaining 3 Hexaorb Sorceress Aquamarines and then the 1 Gratis Gradale. So ideally, we want to hit percent ride every single game, and we want to close the game out on our first percent ride. So that's why we won the 1 extra Gradale and we have the free Aquamarine. Going into the grade 2s, we first of all have 4 of the Wisdom of the Beginning that cleared the world. So this is a really strong order. If you open it on your grade 2 game, you essentially can display this order, 10+1, draw 2, and call 2. So essentially, it makes our grade 2 game free, which is what we want because we want to be rushing as fast as possible so that the opponent, who's playing the stride deck can't stabilize. So that's why we want for the order. Next, we have 4 Uniful Magic Estono. Yes, so obviously this card has been cut quite a while ago, but with again the strikes being so prevalent, we need to make sure that we have a strong early game. So there will be scenarios where the opponent does hit a defensive trigger, and with Estono, she essentially nullifies it because you can discard a card over 10k and mill the top 2 cards of our deck. Again, the top 2 cards can be very impactful because again we can either set up a defensive or offensive depending on the situation. So that's why we won the 4 Estono. Next for the grade 2s, we have 4 Evolving Wizard. So this card's still a very strong card, just getting an extra increment of 5k when the triggers are revealed, definitely very handy. But also being able to manipulate the top card of our deck in the early game as well, and be able to suck up the soul for our Aquamarine, which is very handy because we need soul to get our 5 attacks. So Evolving Wizard is definitely still really strong for our early game and also in the later stages of the game as well. Next we have 3 Quadricast Sorceress. So again, it's also another really strong grade 2. Again, on plays top 2, put 1 of the soul, and the other one says top of the deck. It's also just another really good early game tool, but it also helps us gain soul. Since again, with Aquamarine, we essentially need 4 soul altogether for the 5 attacks, as we need 2 on our first grade 3 turn and then 2 more on the center ride. So this is a very, very helpful card. Next, we run up 4 Octary Sorceress. So this card's an ideal Persona Raid grade 2 to have on our Persona Raid turns, but in the early games, it's also really good as well because we can on play counterblast 2, counterblast 1, sorry, the top 2 cards of our deck, and we can either add both those cards to the deck to put a card back, or we can choose one. But the idea pretty much is to make sure that we can manipulate the top cards of the deck, go for our deck very fast, so that we're hitting the ideal triggers and pushing the opponent. So they can't stabilize. And then lastly, for the grade 2, we have 3 Daughter Append Sorceress. So she's a little bit of a worse Octary Sorceress, as we look at top 2, you have to append a hand. It's mandatory, and then the other card you put on top or bottom. So again, unfortunately, if you do see 2 triggers, you have to add one to your hand. But what she really excels in is the Persona Ride ability when she gets there, which is we can stack a crit from top of our deck. Again, very impactful since we have Persona Ride, so we want to make sure we get 5 attacks, and she helps aid in that game plan. So we have quite a few grade 2s. The reason being is because we want to make sure that every turn on the grade 2 that we have a full board and we are rushing as hard as possible. Because again, we can't give the stride decks any breathing room. If we do, and they stabilize, in most cases we die. So we need to keep an aggression as much as possible. Now getting into the grade 1s, we run 4 Sawdust Cab. So this is a good form of draw power. Again, it sticks on the board, and as long as we keep calling cards in front of it, we can draw cards. Just keep in mind, it is a once per turn. But the idea is if we don't see our order in the early game, this can be a way for us to draw cards, but also when a card's placed in front of it, it's kind of like we break even with the Souls of Cab. So it's definitely a very handy card. And again, if we don't manage to get a Persona Ride, for example, on our second grade 3 turn, this acts as a great booster, in front of our Fallen Wizards, our Esnonos, as well as pretty much any other creature of the deck. Just makes some still solid sound attackers. So that's why we run the 4 Swords of Cow. Then going into the other greed ones, we run 4 Sentinels. So because the Stride decks are going to be ever so prevalent in the format for quite a while, the Elementary Second Shooter is pretty much an auto include now. We want to make sure if somehow it does get to the second stride, we're able to just chuck out a free PG. So you can work around how the opponent's drag stride Luards. But also again, if we open it, in the early stages of the game, on the first stride turn, this is a free PG, which is 1 less card we discard, which is very, very handy. Because again, we want to make sure we have resources on a Persona Ride turn, and we're trying not to take too much damage that you die on their first stride. So I run the 1 Centitude and the 3 Aegis Dragons. And lastly, we have one more grade 1, which is the Diabolus Sorceress. So this is kind of like a little bit of a worse order, but the reason why I run this copy is if we do open it, it's a body that can potentially create 2 more bodies. You do have to discard 1, but again as well, it does help us manipulate top card of the deck. So if we do some triggers, if you kind of lost 1 discard 1, 2 triggers, that's not a bad thing either. So either way, if we see 2 triggers or we call 2 units, either way, we're creating pressure because either this could be pressure by triggers or pressure by normal units. So which is definitely a very solid card. Now into the triggers, we run 1, the Heartless Tear Sorceress, and 3 of the Rugerbrand Angel. So the Heartless Tear Sorceress really only comes up, I guess, for Drag Strider, but we usually don't need to get there. But it's also just in here for other decks that could potentially gain a crit. So for example, if maybe a deck's still playing Eva, I know it's kind of crazy, but some decks, some people may choose to play Eva, or just any other deck that can generate a crit. This is just very handy. And we just have the free 15k shields. You don't have to run these if you don't want to. You can always run the 20k shields as well for the heals. Again, especially if your local meta is very stride heavy, it's probably a better option. That's for our heals. Next we do run 3 fronts. We run the front over draws because we want to make sure that our front row is as strong as possible. So if we know there is a front, just say from our top 3 from our grade 2, we ride grade 3 Hexaorb over the grade 2 into the front there. We can just swing of maybe a Regard, like another Regard, and then swing of Vanguard, and then when it swings, it'll get the front row 10k. Then you sell +1, stand something, and then if you feel I'm trigger, you can stand something else. But also in situations where you may only see just the 1 front, even if you do 4 attacks, it's not bad because again the front is essentially making that front row a lot stronger. So if you're seeing a front on a 4 attack Hexaorb turn, is very strong, but it is very impactful on grade 2. If you see a front on the grade 2 turn, and you have something like an Esnono and a Fallen Wizard set up, essentially you could have a 10k Vanguard with a 20k Esnono and a 10k Fallen Wizard for the front. So in your middle front, you'd have a 30k Fallen, a 25k Fallen Wizard, a 30k Esnono, and then you have the 20k Vanguard. So yeah, as you can see, the front is very, very strong in this deck. Then we run a crits, because again, we want to close the game as fast as possible. So we want to maximize our crits. Nothing really else to say there. And then run red OT. You can opt to run the blue OT if you like, but I think the red OT is good for the reason that if we hit the red 2 in that grade 2 turn, we're essentially getting 2 100 million attacks, which is really, really powerful. But again, because Hexaorb can stand our regards as well, we can take advantage of the red OT, to have that Regard, swinging for 200 mil attacks. Alternatively, what you could also try as well, you could try the Albaria, since when Hexaorb, swings and stands on Regards, we can just give the 100 mil to the Regards, or, in a scenario when the opponent goes to pass, you can always give, the 100 mil to, the Hexaorb, and then the other 100 mil to the Regard you want to stand Hexaorb Aquamarine skill. And that is the deck profile. So if you guys did enjoy, make sure to leave a like, give way down there, one that subscribe, and hit the notification bell so when we upload another video, you will be notified. Okay, thanks for watching.